Good day and welcome to this week's first segment of A Week at the Plot. And boy, is it different at the plot this week than it was last week. Last week it was sort of like generally in the afternoon really sunny, 15, 16, 17, 18 degrees, absolutely gorgeous. Today it's grey and overcast. It's cold, it's feeling cold, and because we had that really warm weather last week, it's feeling really quite bitterly cold. My hands are cold. I have not brought gloves down, which is a bit stupid of me. What I have brought down is a whole bag of shredded paper. So all of this bag, apart from the bits that I lose when I take it out, are going into our compost bin. It will be really good. It will be browns and it will add carbon to the pile. And I'm just going to put it on top today, and then later in the week when I'm back, I'm going to get my sort of corkscrew compost lifter thing and put it down, pull it up and mix it all in, because I haven't given the compost a mix for about a month. So yeah. So that was good. What I also brought down were these, and of course they are a complete waste of time at the moment. We did have a bit of sun this morning and I went to our local library to take some books back, and it was a little bit sunny, but since then it's just become grey and cold like it is. In fact, I can see a fire. Somebody has a fire down there. We're allowed to burn on the site in a brazier between November and March. Between April and October we're not allowed to, unless it's for animal husbandry or with permission of the committee. And I think the person who's burning down there, he does have permission of the committee generally anyway, because he does an awful lot of clearing of the riverbank. So yeah, I think he might be doing a spring clean. We did have a skip at the back end of last week and it went this morning. It's not one that I've been involved in ordering and paying for and seeing delivered and making sure things were put in the skip properly, and things that shouldn't be put in the skip weren't put in the skip and then taken away. Another committee member, or a couple of them, have organised it this time, because of course I'm not on the committee anymore, and that's great. And I haven't benefited from it because I haven't had to put anything in it, but it always amazes me that we have one about every year or every 18 months and it gets filled up on the Saturday. It gets it gets delivered on the Friday, it gets covered up, then people are allowed to put things in from 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning, and by the end of Saturday, I think by lunchtime this time, it was full. You know, I find that astonishing. There's so much rubbish still that people bring down to their allotment and think, oh, I'll use that at some point, and then don't. I'm trying not to do things like that. If I bring something down and I do not use it within a couple of months, or I do not use it in the specified time that I think I might use it, it's time to take it home, put it into recycling or put it into our rubbish. So yeah, I'm trying to be good like that. Anyway, I want to see if we've got any seeds germinated in the poly. I haven't been in yet. So let's go, fingers crossed. Right, there's our lettuce that we put in last week from the greenhouse. I'll give those another water before I go, but definitely be harvesting some of these leaves this week. And right, let's have a look over here. Parsley at the back there, nothing that I can see. Oh, I've seen something. Groninger Brussels sprouts at the back. Nothing there either, but I can just see here a little bit of germination of our Portuguese cabbage and dazzling blue kale cross, and I think that's a bit of ground heave there as well. So fingers crossed we'll get a little bit more germination today. Well, not today, in the next couple of days. Yeah, parsley is renowned in my book for taking quite a long time, whilst brassicas in my book generally are up pretty swiftly, and this is certainly a bit longer than usual. But as I say, we've had cold nights. Despite the days being warm, we've had cold nights. And I did carry on. Look, can you see the smoke down there? It's just thin smoke at the moment, but it's got a little bit thicker. But yeah, I did carry on with the work I said I was going to do the other day. A bit more weeding. This bed needs a bit of weeding. Our potatoes are going to be going in here pretty soon, so these beetroot will be coming out whether they're ready or not. We've got our Jersey Royals, 6 Jersey Royals over here, no sign of those yet. I did start tidying this area up the other day. I need to carry on, but at least I've weeded it. I need to take all of that out down there. And oh, our joster berries, look, they're already, and you see they're beginning to burst their bud, but I'm going to have to cut these back. I'm going to do that in the next day or so for sure. Whether I do it on camera or not, I'm not sure. But I did carry on as I said I would on Sunday afternoon. I tidied up and weeded this bed here, tidied up the end here, taking out an awful lot of weeds that were within the thyme and the rosemary, not the rosemary, lavender there. I've left that dead nettle in because it's a fabulous source of food for bees at the moment. There's a lungwort flowering there. That's fine as well. I did a bit of weeding in this bed, but I noticed I haven't weeded around here. Somebody was talking about hairy bittercress, how it's the bane of their lives. I mean, we've got quite a lot, but you know, it's a weed that is shallow rooted and relatively easy to pull out. There's a bit of couch grass there, but yeah, I must have not weeded this area. Anyway, that's fine, I can get on with that. But you know what, I think apart from the front area, the plot rather, is looking pretty good. I did bang that board. I put a rebar in to pull that board in. I am noticing that all of my beds, look, are beginning to go. Need to think on that. I may just have to peg them in on the edges for the time being. And I started work on this bed, but I was pretty exhausted by the end of Sunday and I really wanted a little sit down, so yeah, I did. I just stopped. Anyway, that's just a quick sort of update today on what I did on Sunday and germination. So that's it for today. Just a quick visit. It was lovely over the weekend with so much sun because there were so many people down here, and of course I mean, fair enough, it's Tuesday afternoon, but last Tuesday afternoon there were quite a few people down. Today there's one other that I know of. I mean, that's fine. That's the way of allotment, isn't it? When the sun is out, people sort of flock. It's a bit like beaches. They flock, and when it's not so good, they don't. So, I mean, some of us enjoy those beaches and allotments in the grayer days, and that's when we find our solace and our peace. And certainly I think that is going to be it today. I'm just going to have a little mooch around. I've seen a few weeds popping up in the 2 end beds I weeded last week, so I'm just going to give that a little hand weed again now and just chill, metaphorically and literally, because it is not warm. If I stay too long, I definitely will chill in the wrong type of way. Anyway, I am going to go. See you again very soon. Bye. Good day. It's quite early Thursday morning, about 7 o'clock, and we're off for a day with Vivi today, which is, I'm sure, going to be lovely. But I thought I needed to come down here and just check on the seedlings that we've got and water them. And these broad beans definitely needed a little bit of water. Haven't been down for a couple of days. These are all looking pretty healthy, and yeah, I'm happy with the way they're going. When I came down, I did notice that I'd left the polytunnel door open, which is unusual. I sort of remember being interrupted when I was about to go and close it when I was leaving the other day, but I didn't. There's a little bit more germination in there, but not a huge, well, one more bit. Let's have a very quick look. Here we are at our brassicas in the poly, or brassicas this side. Still just this bit of germination here in the cross between the Portuguese cabbage and dazzling blue kale. I can see just there a little bit of germination of Groninger Brussels sprouts. Nothing yet in the parsley at the back here, and this is not sown, so this is for a later sowing of parsley in a couple of weeks time. But yeah, I had expected to see 3 or 4 up of our Portuguese cabbage cross, but still only one. Still a little bit of ground heave there. I am using a much finer compost than last year, one that is good for seed sowing, and yeah, I'm a bit surprised at how few of these have germinated. Is it the seed or is it the cold? Because we've certainly gone back to it being sort of near 1-2 degrees, but I've sown brassicas in January before and they've still been up within, you know, a couple of weeks. I mean, it's not a couple of weeks for these yet, but anyway, fingers crossed. At least we've got some germination up there in the Groninger Brussels sprouts. It's a pretty damp start to the day. It was drizzling when I got up and was having breakfast. It's not drizzling now, so that's good. Everything has had a good water. Gosh, look at this Nigella. That Nigella is going absolutely mad there. I guess with all the sun and then with a little bit of rain, that's doing it all good. I mean, of course it's doing it all good. Anyway, yes, we're off for a day out today, so just a brief one. I just wanted to check on the moisture of the compost that our Brussels sprouts and other seedlings are in, and all of that is good. Right, see you again soon. Bye. Good day. It's a gloriously sunny early morning at the plot. It's about 9 o'clock on Sunday, and you can see it's rather lovely and sunny. There was ducks going over before, a cormorant flying, a few ducks landing or coming in to land on the River Brent as well. And even though it's really sort of sunny now, if we come down here, we can see the remnants of a frost. How all those forget-me-nots are frosted there. And yeah, it was a heavy frost last night. Hopefully the last heavy frost of this growing year. Fingers crossed. I did notice, if we go over to this area, one of our plants here is rather gloriously frosted. Oh, it's melted a little bit now, but that was rather pretty before. What's that? No, that's a weed. That's a weed. I suddenly thought that little bit of green was some of our Jersey Royal potatoes coming up, but no. What I am going to be doing today is planting up the rest of this bed with potatoes, early potatoes. I'll be taking out the beetroot and then going down, as I did with these Jersey Royals, a hole about 10 inches, 12 inches deep, and planting the seed potato right at the bottom of the hole. And there is something I want to show you about the seed potatoes. Let's go this way because I can traverse the plot this way. They arrived a week or so ago, and I put them in a cool place in a relatively cool room. But Richard, I hadn't noticed, had moved them and popped them next to a radiator. And in the case of our Anyas, you can see here, or you can't because I'm not showing you, there's they sprouted. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to take these sprouts off. We got Sarpo Mira here, which are main crop. These here, can I take that out? No, I can't. I need to burst it. Yeah. These are, yeah, I'm not going to take these off. These are shoots that will come above ground. I'm not going to take them off. Let me carefully get them out of this bag, which I'm going to use a pair of scissors and just sort of cut around them and make sure that I can get them out carefully. Let me do that first and then we'll come back to them. I have gently teased these out of their bag. Only broke off one of the shoots, and let's just pop into the poly with these, and I'll just explain what happens when a potato grows. I know that in talking to some of my fellow plotters here and other people generally, that there's a bit of confusion about how potatoes that we eat grow. Well, they don't grow from a seed. What they grow from is a seed potato, and this is a seed potato, albeit it's already got some shoots on it because it was in front of a radiator rather than at the side of a cool room. But what has happened is this seed potato has been grown specifically to be planted in the ground, to grow, to create tubers underneath the ground, which we then harvest and eat as potatoes. So this is basically what potatoes grow from. They grow from a potato. And what happens is when you put this in the ground, it sends up shoots, as you can see here, and those go above and they find the light and they go to flower eventually after 12 or 16 weeks or something like that. What happens down below is that this will put out roots. Actually, they'll come from here, put out roots which go down, and then some of those roots will swell and they'll be called stolons, stolons, and at the end of that stolon the plant will store starch, and the starch that they store forms a new potato that we will then be harvesting and eating. And as these grow, what normally happens in a field, if you're an old-fashioned farmer, is you would heave up the soil on top, and these shoots that come up and grow into stems, when you put further compost or soil on top of them, they then think, oh, actually we're below ground now, so we're going to form more stolons, which will form more potatoes. So that's what happens when these go up. They get all of the energy that they need from the sun and the nutrients in the soil, and then that comes down. The roots down here, some of them form stolons. They fatten up at the end with starch, form that tuber, and that tuber is actually what we eat. Now, I know some people would be rubbing these off, and I have done that in the past. But the thing is, by a little bit of error, these have already started growing. So the energy of the potato, the seed potato, has already gone into producing these shoots. So this year, I'm not going to rub these off. I'm just going to plant these exactly as they are. And as I say, what I'm going to do, these are going to be going into the bed by our Jersey Royals, because these are early potatoes. They're Anya. So they are early potatoes because they crop earlier. They have a shorter growing period. These should be ready in about 12 or 13 weeks, where the Sarpo Mira that we've got, they have a longer growing period. So even if I plant them the same day, they will be harvesting a month or maybe a month and a half, or ready to harvest a month or a month and a half after these Anya are ready. Because the Sarpo Mira are late, and they have a 16, 17, 18 week growing period, depending upon your soil type, your conditions, you know, all of that. So that's the difference between earlies and lates. And between earlies and lates, you have a whole host of other potatoes. Some are mid-early, so they come a bit later than earlies, or a late early, or, you know, there's a whole range. So you can actually plant several different varieties of potato at the same time, and you can be harvesting over I mean, you can leave them in the ground in most places unless it gets frozen. You can be harvesting for, you know, from 12 weeks from planting right through to about 6-7 months after planting, if you don't need that area that you planted the potatoes in to grow something else. Sometimes we leave ours in the ground, sometimes we harvest them and then let them bake out in the sun and dry off in the sun and then put them into bags. But generally we'll leave ours out in the soil, and we'll dig them up when we want to eat them, because we have quite a mild growing area where we are in the UK. So there we are. That's waffling on a little bit about seed potatoes. I'm not sure if what I've said is clear. I hope it is. If it's not, please do ask any questions down below. And if you've got any further comments, please do let me know. Because we're planting these quite deep, these shoots are going to need to come up by about a foot to get into the sunlight, where they will then grow into stems, and as I say, you know, help bring energy down to the growing tubers underneath. So we are likely to put some compost on top as they grow, particularly if we're due a little bit of frost, because you don't really want your growing shoots above ground of potatoes to have too much frost, and putting some additional compost on top and keeping them clear of that cold will benefit. But yeah, because we plant ours quite deep, we won't be earthing them up quite as much as you might do in the traditional way of planting in rows, really quite deep rows, and edging those up and then banking the potatoes up as they grow, which is the way that my dad used to do it. And I think I will do that at some point in the future, but not this year and not today. I'm going to get these in, and I'm doing them exactly the same as we did the Jersey Royals a few weeks ago. Hopefully you'll have seen that. I'll link to another potato seed sowing video here so that you can watch that. But all I'm doing is using a trowel to dig a deep hole, about a foot deep preferably, maybe about sort of 4 inches round, popping this in the bottom, gently putting the soil that I've dug out back on top, filling up that hole, and then just sort of firming it down a little bit. And then I will be giving everything a water, not with a rose, with the end, you know, without a rose, because I want that soil. I'm going to water in on top of the compost I've taken out, so that it sort of beds down quite nicely. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll show you that bit when we get to it. That's all of our Anyas in. There's generally about 12 inches to 14 inches between the seed potatoes. And yeah, now I'm going to give them a water with a watering can without a hose. I have planted on either side of these two endive and chicory. They'll just sort of wash off and carry on growing, because they will be harvested well before the potatoes are really above ground and growing. I've also left these two little leeks in as well, and of course we have disturbed worms in doing what we're doing, but hopefully this is going to give us a good harvest for this year of early potatoes. Now to give them a little water. Oh, and I moved the bench, so I did notice that I've got some cinquefoil down here when I move the bench. So I'm not going to do it today, but I am going to put all of the trays back onto this bench, leave it there, and then weed this area underneath the bench in a day or so when I've got time, because there are other jobs to do today. And I wasn't going to plant any seed potatoes in tubs, though I've got, what's there, 3, 9, 12, 13, 14. So I think I will do some tubs. I'll have a think on that. In fact, I'm going to ask a fellow plotter whether she wants these, and if not, I'll put them into tubs. Hopefully she will want them though. That's everything now given a decent water without the rose, so that will bed the soil in around the seed potatoes we just planted, and then I just watered the top end as well to clear off those endive and chicory a little bit. We're due more rain next week, so I think this will do fine to just sort of carry on doing what it's doing now. This bed here is where our Sarpo Mira are going to go, so I need to get on and give it a fork over. There's going to be quite a lot of weed in here, of bindweed in particular. It sort of comes over from over there, but yeah, I'm going to get on with that now, and then once this soil is loose, I will do exactly the same as I've just done with the Anya. I'll dig a hole with my
I was going to say spatula, with my, oh, what is it? Hand spade? No. Trowel, that's what it is. I'll dig a hole with the trowel and pop the seed potatoes deep down. So yeah, I'm going to get on with that in a minute. And I'm noticing that this ceanothus here, this comes into focus hopefully, is beginning to flower, but I don't want to shade this area too much. This tree honeysuckle will shade this area a little bit, even though I've cut it back quite a bit. So I'm just going to cut this ceanothus back a little as well. Maybe not today. In fact, most probably today. It's such an easy job, and that can go into the compost. But yeah, that's my next job. I did sort out the joster berries this week. Cut them back. They're still pretty tight, but there's more airflow there for them. And the prunings that I took off, I have made into cuttings which are in the greenhouse, so hopefully we'll have some more josterberry plants. The weather is, as it said it was going to do, sort of clouding up a bit now. We're going to have sunshine and overcast weather for the rest of the day, so I've certainly had the best part of the day whilst I was doing the sowing of those early potatoes. Let's just come over here. I've taken our Sarpo Mira out of their bag. Very few little bits of growth on there, not like the others, which is great. And here we have a big pile of dung and straw and stuff from Ealing riding stables. Some of the plot holders got together and had a big delivery yesterday, and then I was asked whether I'd like a barrel load, so I said yes please. That will be going into our compost. Over here we have that very poor quality wood chip that was delivered, and there's some horse manure in that because it got mixed up because the two piles were next to each other. But yeah, this was the poor quality wood chip with just sort of chopped up twigs and lots of leaf. And when I talk about decent quality wood chip, this is decent quality wood chip. Little leaf and lots of decent chip. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to crack on with that bed in a moment. We had a work social yesterday morning, which was actually postponed from last week. It was scheduled because I'm organised. I schedule all of the work socials, and anything that I'm organising, I let people know well in advance when they are. But because the skip was coming last week and it could only come last Friday, it was in the way for the work social, so we moved it back a week. And I think because of that, this week's work social was less well attended than they normally are, but we got some jobs done, so that was great. In the orchard area, there's a place at the front where there's sort of quite a lot of weeds and it's a bit uneven underfoot, so we've laid out the really bad wood chip that arrived a few weeks ago from a tree surgeon that we don't know who they were, but they just turned up and dumped a load of not good wood chip. And anyway, we used that and laid that out to suppress weeds, but also to lift the level of the soil so that it's less of a hazard for your feet when you walk over it. There's also a trench that was an old drainage ditch in the orchard, which is no longer used. There's no pipe work down there anymore, so that needs infilling, so we use some of that wood chip to do that as well. And then we took all the prunings, the large prunings that we did from the cider apple trees last week. A team of us, just 4 of us, chopped them up and then laid them onto the dead hedge. So that dead hedge is looking really good at the moment. I think having myself and one other person who are pretty experienced dead hedgers did help neaten that pile up quite a lot. So yeah, it was a good morning actually. Even though it wasn't well attended, it was a good morning and we got certain things done. And on my way back from just taking footage in the orchard now, I bumped into somebody else who said they couldn't come yesterday, and is there a job that they could do? So I have given them the job of cutting back the lower sycamore shoots that are coming out in the paddock area of one of the trees, so that it doesn't impinge on people's growing area. So he's going to do that sometime this week, which is grand. So yeah, there we are. So I am going to carry on now, digging up, forking over that bed, taking out any bindweed that is in there, and then getting our Sarpo Mira late potatoes in. Whatever you are doing, whatever you're enjoying in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope the weather is improving for you and you're getting ready for your growing year if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or you're sort of getting ready to plan of what's happening, to what work needs to be done if you're in the Southern Hemisphere over the coming months. I know your season is sort of winding down a bit, as ours is beginning to wind up here. So wind up and wind down. Yeah. Anyway, any comments, any questions, as usual, please do leave them down below. Any suggestions as well. And I will see you for further segments of A Week at the Plot as we go through the week on Planet Vegetaria, or of course another full upload of A Week at the Plot in a week's time on YouTube. See you very soon, and happy growing. Bye.